Yay! Welcome, welcome. It's Sunday. I expect my crew should be rolling in any moment. I've just been trying to clean up my desk here, do a few little cleaning projects to get me a little bit ahead of the game. Kind of got into my lessons today too, right? Trying to relax and trying to save money. I'm not doing a very good job, people. I got this budget vacation coming up and the things I'm spending my money on. I wish I could just learn to budget a little bit better. Yeah. I had ice cream today. I had ice. You know what? We're in the midst of a heat wave, right? And here I am beating myself up because I went and I got ice cream. It was very enjoyable. It was very enjoyable. But yeah, I could see I'm sitting here and I'm feeling guilty about it. And I just got to understand that, sometimes I need these treats, right? And it was a good way for me to get outside, go to the store. Yeah, I had a really great live show today on my Instagram, and I'm doing a 30-day challenge, a positivity challenge, and I'm going to try and add a few things that are very positive into my life for the next 30 days or so. So it's going to kind of roll into my trip, right? But because I believe in serendipity and I believe people and events, they come across your paths for a reason, that I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to add some positive things into my life. And I'm also going to try and let some of that negative stuff, and it's going to be hard too because there are things going on in my family right now that are difficult, right? That does have my mind wandering in concern and heartfelt things. But at the same time, uh, we have to move forward no matter what. We move forward, and yeah, I'm really in a what do you call that? A rock in a hard place, right? A rock in a hard place where I'd love to reach out and be the caregiver and stuff. But it's hard. It's hard when souls don't rub properly, right? When that unkindness comes at you, and it's a little bit different for me now because before I didn't recognize it. I was just grateful for the few scraps that came across my table, right? Came across my path. But when I see the underlining reasons as to why people do things for you, right? Or how they make you feel or how I feel in their presence, and not necessarily like they even have to do anything. It's just how I feel about myself when I'm around them. It's difficult, but it doesn't mean that they're not less family and that I don't care, because I care deeply. I care deeply, and I think it's important. I think it's important that I understand and I reach out to people in their hardships. Right? We were a big part of each other's lives. We were best friends for years. At least I thought so. Right? And I'm sure she thought so too. But we were just two traumatized people, kind of reaching and clinging onto each other and kind of taking each other down. Right? We've both been having struggles the past couple of years, and now I'm starting to feel a little bit better, and she's still in the midst of her struggles, and but I can see the light at the end of under the or at the end of the tunnel, right? Because I've been there and I know she'll come through this too. But it's sad when we have to go through these things alone, right? I felt I'm thinking of you, Andrew, right now. When you got that staph infection and you were in the hospital, and I think about how you were by yourself at a time when something really really serious could have happened to you. Like, that has got to change you in some way. That's got to make you want for a different kind of life, or something better, going through an experience like that. I'm kind of hoping that this is it. This is the experience that maybe will make the difference in my sister's life. There's no reason that she can't come on this journey. She has contributed to my movement forward greatly, greatly, right? I got to learn the understanding of kindness. It was kind of an indirect way, but no less was there that awareness that kindness was there, right? whether whether I got it, whether it was relatable to me, right? It doesn't matter in somebody else's eyes, right? There were many kindnesses towards me, and I would hope that some of those things that I've done in kindness and the way that I've gone about my life and my interactions with other people would have been perceived as kindnesses too, right? Yeah, I'm looking back, you guys. I'm looking back at some of the Christmases and stuff with the family and how poor I was and how I would wrap my favorite things up. I'd have favorite things that I would keep for years and years, and I wouldn't have any money for gifts, and I would wrap them up and give them to my family and stuff. It makes me wonder if they ever kept any of them, right? If they ever kept any of these gifts that I gave them. Yeah. But it kind of does make you reminisce. It does kind of make you think and appreciate and be grateful for what we have, right? I'm grateful that I have my good health. I'm grateful for that, right? But I have my own struggles, right? And even though my struggles aren't physical, right? But I'm right. I'm trying to be on social media. I'm trying to be good at my craft. I'm trying actually to even be the best at my craft. And that might not even be able to be accomplished in this lifetime. That isn't going to stop me from trying, though. That's the thing, right? So I strive for that constantly. Yeah, but when it's ready to happen, if that's what you want, you've just written it down right there, right? So you think it and it will be realized, right? So when you actually wrote that down, so yeah, I could see that happening for you, Andrew. I would see what kind of person would you want for a roommate, Andrew? What kind of person? Would you want somebody in your age group? Right? Would you want somebody who would have the same interests as you? Would you want to spend time with them, or you would just want them there to help pay the bills and live a quiet life alongside you? What would your expectations be? I would be curious in that. If my voice goes, I apologize. I really yapped up a storm today on my Instagram. I went an hour and a half, but it was a good, solid, full of little nuggets of wisdom. And yeah, it was a really, really great live. But I guess I put a lot of energy into it and I kind of blew out my voice a little bit. So if it sounds a little bit rough tonight, I do apologize for that. Yeah. It was a good talk though. Amazing. You know, and I love it when people come in and they go live with me and then they ask me important questions, and that's what he did today. He came in to say hi. He's been a follower of mine on Instagram for a couple of years anyway, but he's been very, very active in the past year with the hearts and the thumbs up and stuff, but he's never gone live with me or anything. But I know he's there because I see his comments and his well wishes, and every once in a while he'll come in and watch a stories later and he'll make a nice comment or something. So I know he's there. But today he actually came live with me, which is remarkable in itself. But then he asked me an important question, and then we carried on in that topic and then expanded on that topic, and it became a very interesting conversation. And I was actually listening to his story and listening to him talk, and I got a real sense about what kind of a person he was and what kind of problems he might have been struggling with. We all struggle with stuff, right? But sometimes we put these great big masks on. We put these masks on that were tough, when we have all the answers and stuff, and you don't ask the questions that you need to have answered, right? You don't get the help that you need. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else in that. I would say I'm very pig-headed, and I try not to be, because I know it's not a good trait, but I am open, but I also understand the world a little bit differently than most people, and it suits my personality, the way I live and the way I move in my life. So I try not to beat myself up on that either, right? Ah, oh, okay. So somebody that you may be able to grow into a friendship, like maybe kind of grow old and share living accommodation. And if you have kind of the same interests and the same beliefs, you'll be able to have good conversations, Andrew. And you are a great conversationalist. You have great insights, and yeah, very kind heart. I think, right? Like, if that's what you want, Andrew, that should come across your path, right? You've well earned it, and that's for anybody else. Oh, Owen's here too. Hi, Owen, dear. That's for anybody else. Owen too, being a caregiver, being in service already, like, these things that you want, like, write them down, right? Voice them vocally voice them, right? What you want, and the universe will conspire to make it happen if you're paying attention to the cues and paying attention, right, to your intuition and stuff. For sure, 100%. I got a new mug at work. I've been looking at work for over a year for this coffee mug. I guess it's fairly rare. It's from the 1990s, late 1990s. It's a Tim Hortons travel mug, right? I have quite a few of the mugs. Maybe I have 5 or 6 of them, but all of them are missing their handles now. They're all missing their handles, and I only have 2 lids, and that's what I love so much about. Well, there's a few things I loved about this mug. To start with, this design that Tim Hortons had is how lightweight it was. I like that. I like that tall, slim, kind of stable form. I love that it was deep from the bottom of the handle down, so it fit really good in the cup holder in my car. It felt really good in there. It was really easy when I was driving, just to pick up my cup and just flip the handle just over a little bit, so I could sip my coffee, and it never left that coffee mark on my nose, which really ticked me off with the other designs of the coffee mugs, right? I really like this one. And I said, if it comes into the store, please, 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 I need it, I want it, right? If nothing else, just to have an extra lid. I don't care the shape of the mug, but one came in, and it was in pretty good shape. It was the Christmas design. I've had a couple of this mug, right? But I love this design, and I was so excited to have it, and I've used it a few times, and I've only had it a few days already, so I'm happy to have it in my collection. Maybe I can get rid of some of the other mugs without the handle. So for whatever reason, the handle didn't survive. But you gotta think, this mug was, right, 25 years old. These mugs were 25 years old. They held up pretty good. And I still used them. They were in my cupboards. I still used them all the time, even without the handles. I even took them to work. They were my travel mugs. And actually, the ones without the handle worked really well in my drink container on my bike, right? So, yeah, but I am pleased I got another one. And I had a chance to make a fresh cup of coffee before I did my live and came sat down. It's a day for a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of contemplation. I need to get some clarity about this trip I'm doing. I've just been in there researching amethyst mines, checking out the actual mine that I plan on going to. I was checking out some of the videos that some other people have done when they went to that mine to check out the crystals, Very varied, not too many points, but you know what? I think I'm going to do a lot of ground searching. I think it would be fun. I think it would be nice for me just to walk around and see if I could spot them on the ground. My nickname when I was a little kid, my dad used to call me Eagle Eyes, because I could just spot any kind of movement, anything that was kind of out of place in my surroundings. I would pick up on it right away. So I'd always, when we go for drives, I would be always the one to see the deer and the moose on the brush sideline and stuff, right? Because sometimes they were really difficult to spot because they kind of blend in with the trees and the forest, right? But I would always spot them, and I would spot some really interesting animals. And my dad would always stop the car, and we'd sit in the car with our faces pressed up against the window and look out at what he was pointing and explaining to us. Man, my dad sure made some amazing, amazing road explorers. Holy moly. I would have been the best. If I had kids, for sure we would have done road trips. It would have been, my dad used to take us for Sunday drives all the time. If he wasn't fishing, because lots of times he was off fishing, and when he was off fishing, he'd go for like 2 months at a time, and he did that. Oh, three times a year, and then he probably went for a week here and there in between there. And yeah, but when he was home, he would want to spend all that time with the family. He wasn't very sociable. We didn't have a lot of people over at the house and stuff. But he liked to do the family events. He used to do family adventures all the time. And I remember my dad, he'd load us all up in the car, and we'd do drive-ins, or he would take us for Sunday drives. And those Sunday drives, man, they were just amazing. Because he'd pick a different direction, and sometimes he wouldn't even have a plan of action or where we were going to go or anything. He would just hit the highway, and we would just start driving. Sometimes we'd stop off at night and rent a motel, right? And we would all us kids would be sleeping on the floor, or he'd get two beds, and all us kids would be piled in one bed, and mom and dad would be piled in the other bed. But he'd take us fishing. He'd wake us up in the middle of the night, and we would drive for hours up to um, Horseshoe Bay. It's where they made that television series, Beachcombers. I don't know if any of you guys remember that TV series, Beachcombers. But yeah, my dad used to take us to Horseshoe Bay. It was one of his favorite places to go fishing, right? He liked to relax and fish. Even when he wasn't like out on his fishing boat and stuff, he would be home, and he would be renting little boats or borrowing little boats, and we would go out on the rivers all the time. He just loved Mother Nature. And we can't kick ourselves. And I've actually did a couple of live shows talking about communication, about how we miss the opportunity quite often to have that last conversation. And people pass away or people move on, and we never see them again, and we never get to say the things we truly wanted to say, right? So I've been thinking about that quite a bit in the past week. And then, of course, having a sister going into the hospital, that's what happened. She went into the hospital. Um, um, yeah, you think about what, in the big scheme of things, what's important, right? My sister's movement forward, I think, is very important. She was very close, but she got stuck. She got kind of trapped by these things that I've been studying and learning about. And it's really hard to pull yourself away when you come into these really strong personalities, these relationships that want to control, right? And it's really hard to pull yourself away because, well, for the most part, we don't like change, right? We're stubborn. We like to control our surroundings and stuff, and yeah, it's hard to make change. But yeah, but when we get stuck like that and we can't get away from a situation, we can't control a situation, the situation controls you. It's hard. It's hard to move forward in any shape or form, like at any way, because somebody else is controlling how you feel about yourself in your thoughts and stuff, and it's to their benefit to make sure that you don't feel good for yourself, right? And it's kind of the situation that I got myself into. And I keep saying to myself in the past couple of days, we all have our struggles. We all struggle by ourselves. Our most important struggles in our lives that we have, we do that by ourselves, right? We're all by ourselves, and I've been giving this some thought. I don't know what about your guys' thoughts on these matters. I mean, Andrew, did you have the opportunity to say a proper goodbye to your mother when she passed away? I know you were very close to your mother, and you have shared a little bit of that information with us. So I wouldn't mind if you wanted to answer that, and if you didn't, it would be all good if you didn't, right? But yeah, right. I never had an amazing natural, right, kind of relationship with my mom. But where I'm sitting in my lessons right now, I'm thinking that some of that might have been to my benefit that we had those difficulties, right? Because I could see it for what it was. Now that I could see for what it was, I could see that it was a lessons. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, Andrew. Yeah, with my father actually had congenital heart disease. He always had difficulties in his life with his heart. I remember he had angina and he used to take these nitro pills that he used to put underneath his tongue, and he'd do that numerous times a day, right? But he'd have these mini strokes, he'd have these mini heart attacks, like angina, constantly, so constantly that we didn't even pay attention to it when it was happening, when he was like gripping his chest and bending over and hitting the floor and stuff, or laying on the floor. Like, it just became a norm part of life, right? He could have had a major, major heart attack, and we would have felt that way. We might have sat there and watched him, or continued watching television or something, as he was actually dying on the floor. That's how often he was having these attacks, right? The attacks started happening when I was in my teenage years, right? But he always had heart disease. Like, he even knew. I remember as like, even in grade school, being taken out to the backyard and us having those family talks, sitting in a circle in the backyard, and having those talks about death, right? And because he wanted us to be prepared, he didn't know when it was going to happen. His doctor said it could happen any time in his entire life. It could happen to him any time during his life, and yet he lived another 25 years longer than what he should have, right? But these were attributed to some of the practices he had, and he might have even been able to do better if he could have overcome some of those compulsions that he had, that he used to calm his system, like being a poker player, right? Because my dad was a compulsive gambler. My dad was also a heavy smoker. I'm talking about those country drives. Holy cow, he could smoke out the back seat, right? We wouldn't see anything. It would just be a big white cloud in the back seat. And then my dad would have to say, roll up the windows, because if we didn't roll up the windows and he threw the cigarette butt out the window, because that's what they did in those days, driving down the highway, just throw the butt out into the forest. And that's how fires started, right? But yeah, my dad did that. Roll up the window just so that those butts didn't come flying in the back seat and then start fires in the back seat. And I remember that they actually did on occasion, right? Cause fires. But you didn't want the wrath of my mother if a cigarette butt got on the back seat, because you'd be trying to catch that butt, picking up that little fiery white what do you call that, ember on the end of the cigarette with your bare hands as frantically as you can, because your mother is behind you screaming with the back scratcher, right? But in those days, that was tolerable, right? That was tolerable in the 70s. It was quite the norm. And I've come to the conclusion that I was a very sensitive child, and I probably thought it more nightmarish than it actually was. I look at my mother, And I look at with my mother with a little bit of compassion for her situation, because she was a codependent through and through. She was a victim of her own childhood, right? And believing in epigenetics, she didn't have a chance, right? She just passed that on to her kids, depending on the role that her kids played in the family. Each one of us kids played a different role. And I think each one of members of my family contributed to that member's position in the family. Yeah, I just come to realize that too. Because again, I recognize it now, right? When it's happening, and I just like, and I recognized it back then, but I don't think I recognized it all. I guess if I loved you, if I trusted you and I loved you and I cared for you, I would give you those chances. I would probably even look for excuses for you. I probably would look for excuses for you. But if you treated me badly, right? Because I would see it, I would feel it, I would know it was off, I would know it wasn't right, I would know it was cruel or mean or whatever. I wasn't contributing to anything positive in that at all. And I think if I had, right, if I think that I did spend a little bit of time kind of understanding my mother's point of view and where she was coming from and the childhood that she had, I might have appreciated, you know, not her actions, because there is no excuse for that, right? But you got to think what kind of effort she put into it. Did she try to let you know that she cared in other ways? I don't know. I don't think I gave her a chance in truth, right? I don't think. I just thought she was just a terrible person. I saw the favoritism with the other kids. I saw how I was being rejected and excluded, and how set of rules would apply to some but not to others. How discipline was being divvied out and why it was being divvied out. Right. And then I was dealing with the stuff at school at the same time. So I was talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place, because I was getting it from both ends, right? But I think it was just the luck, right? And again, because I believe something or someone out there leads us to each other, like brings people across our paths, brings events across our paths that are supposed to be lessons, right? That help us in our movement. Yeah, this is we're going to be doing some crazy moving in the next little bit. It's going to be crazy out there, people competing for jobs, people trying to keep a roof over their head, trying to keep the homeless off the streets. Right now, that's discouraging when you look out at the once beautiful boulevards, your once beautiful neighborhood, and you see the situation out there when it concerns the homeless, and your passion and your heart go out to the people that are homeless, because lots of them, they love what they're doing. They love how they're living. They appreciate that home life. They're taking it like a kind of a survival kind of maneuver, the survival way of living, right? And they think this is how life is going to be moving forward, and that they get to have a say. And yes, they get a say, right? But whether that's right or wrong, that's probably, well, I'm a majority rules kind of person, and I do love beautiful boulevards, and I think everybody is responsible to contribute to the betterment of the world. And I see there is no benefit to a homeless person sleeping on a tent on the beach and begging for money for food or booze or whatever they need it for, right? I see no benefit. People need to contribute, right? Unless you're in that camp, unless you're in that tent and you're actually counseling people who are actually homeless, right? Helping them to try and get off the street. You can provide service in that environment, for sure you can, right? But taking in your lessons, how are you going to get your lessons? All your lessons are going to come from your experiences. And there are some great thought leaders and some great ideas out there and some great facts and truths that you don't know about yet. So all you have is what you have, right? So there are smarter and better people in those aspects that people would much rather spend their money in order to get advice. But again, right, there are people in those groups that would be able to help you out. Oh, there's Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Hello, dear. Oh, thank you, Sharon. And Sharon does know some of my story, right? Sharon, if you don't know, Sharon's actually well, I always get her mixed up, but she's actually from Oakland, right? And she came up here to Canada. She came actually here to Winnipeg, and she spent a couple of weeks with me. I was totally broke. I was heading off on this big trip, a road trip that I was doing to head off to Toronto. And she came and spent 2 weeks with me. And she listened to me. We listened to each other, right? We made some amazing walks. We made a nice little visit with zero in our pockets, right? And she actually she actually made me feel like I was of value, and she helped to keep me sane at a time that I was stressing out really bad because I was trying to make some big moves in my life at that time, and I was all worried that it wasn't going to happen. So she helped to keep me occupied in my mindset, right? But yeah, me and my mother, we always, well, it wasn't butting heads, but maybe it was, right? Because again, when she would treat me badly, I would know it, I would feel it, I would understand it for what it was, right? And but I didn't understand. I didn't have any compassion for her. I actually really hated her at the time. I really hated my mother for treating me like that, and treating me so unfairly, because I could see how she was treating everybody else, right? It was not like she never got angry with the other kids, because of course she did, right? But that physical interaction was basically on me. That demoralization was all laid on me, right? And as a little kid, you don't understand that. You just feel unloved, but it also killed the love for her. So it just made it so it got to the point where I didn't care, right? She could hate on me all she want because she couldn't hurt me emotionally, right? And it did. It happened that way. She kind of broke me that way. She just, right? And we never ever recovered that relationship. We were civil and cordial to each other only because of the relationships that I had with my sisters after my father passed away, right? So we would get together for birthdays and stuff, right? But that relationship was not a good one ever in my life, right? Ever. And that was the dynamics of my family. And that's why each one of us girls in my family are so different, because we played different roles, right? Because I was the scapegoated child, and that's not victimhood. That's just the fact, because I'm far beyond that now. All is forgiven, right? I understand a little bit about how it happened, why it happened, right? I understand a little bit more about her past personality and how it was handed down to golden child, because yes, there was a golden child, right? And that golden child grew up to be just like mom, right? Became just like mom. And it was gradual, because it was tolerable for the longest time until it was so different. And there was a crash, a moment in a couple of years ago, and my mom came full force, and it was like being revisited by a ghost, and I was being triggered with every single comment, right? I was, because that's the emotional trigger, because it takes me back to my childhood, right? When somebody's yelling at me, it takes me back to those situations that I had with my mother, and trying to figure out how to make her stop. and I'm experimenting right now with my manager, right? And I'm being honest with her, letting her know what my triggers are, right? She's perfectly aware. She can manipulate me if she wants to, but I'm going to recognize that. But that's difficult for me too, because once strong-minded people know that you kind of understand what's going on, and that that light is not going to be shining all on them, and you see them for what they are, they're not going to want you around. And if they're the boss, right? So I'm honest with my boss. I'm straight up. I'm honest with my boss, right? Because I trust her, and she has a strong personality, and she runs her store well, and she's training me well. I mean, it might be a process, and she might find me frustrating, but I know that deep down that she does care for me. I know that she does, and she just wants me to keep my job just as much as I want to keep my job, and yeah, and that's what she does when she gives me heck, and I take it for what it is, because my loyalty goes to her, because she's the one putting the roof over my head, right? Just like Andrew's working for the university, his loyalty, right? It runs to the university. His loyalty runs to himself, number one, and to his personal, his family, right? His brothers, but to himself, but to his job too, because that job is what's putting the roof over his head, right? Hello, Sharon. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Owen. And Andrew. Oh, Melvin's here too. Dave's here too. Cabbage rolls. I'm making lazy cabbage rolls, Dave. I'm making lazy cabbage rolls, some halapchi. I went and I picked up a cabbage today. I'm going to make a big pot of halapchi, and I'm going to make them and freeze them in my freezer containers to save money for the next few weeks, right? To have these meals, these cheap meals. I'm going to make lots and lots and stretch it out like my mom used to do with the rice. Stretch it out, make these meals. This way, when I come home, I'm not making big mess with the dishes and stuff. I can get right into the lessons. I can get ready. I'm pulling out the camping gear this week, and I'm going to be starting to videotape, the process of me getting ready for my trip, some of my insights in there. Today I was checking out the mines in Thunder Bay and the kind of crystals that come out of their mines. So I'm looking forward here. I can turn this off now. It's cooled off. We're in another heat wave, plus 35 Celsius, you guys. That's over 100. That's over 100 Fahrenheit, I think. Yeah, very, very hot here. I don't know how the fires are going, but the clouds don't look too bad today. I can actually see some blue in the sky today. So maybe those fires are under a bit more control, because we did have a little bit of rain this week. It was really enjoyable on my day off. One day I was able to sit here for most of the day and just enjoy the rain hitting. But I'm still waiting for the big, crazy thunderstorms. I'm waiting for one of those, and we're already into, well, we're moving into the end of August now, aren't we? You guys, it's only, 3 weeks away? 3 weeks away, and Cindy's on a trip. We're going to see what kind of amazing trip that I can put together. If I have that capacity still to get great explore videos. I hope you guys are looking forward to these videos that I'm going to do. I don't know how they're going to be. I've been shut down for a couple of years now too, just like everybody else. But also at the same time, in saying that, I feel a little bit grateful, because I'm in the running. I'm in the same boat as everybody else too, because everybody else was shut down. Now I was shut down for different reason. It was mostly for the fact that I didn't have my car anymore. But how convenient it was that I was able to be one of everybody else that got shut down also. And now we're all starting up again. So I'm on the same footing as everybody else, and it's all going to be dependent on the content that I can put out there. So we're going to see what I can do with these videos. This weekend, I was going to go out with the kite and fly the kite and have a little chit chat, but I'm waiting for my lavalier. I ordered a microphone off of Amazon, and it's a really neat one. There's a receiver that plugs into my phone, and I can put my phone way far away, and I could walk up to 60 feet away from my phone, and I can sit down and I can have a perfect conversation with you because it has a lavalier that clips to my top, right? And it's supposed to be one of the better ones going on in the market. Now it'll be really, really popular going down the road. It's just hitting the market, this microphone. But I saw it when they were first starting to advertise it a few months ago, and I thought, what a great idea. And then I had the opportunity to pick one up, right? Well, I didn't really have the opportunity. I just assumed that it would be the best thing if I wanted to make some good videos where Mother Nature, we know the wind and everything, how it interferes with the sound in my videos, that if I could walk away from the camera and be able to show everybody the beautiful landscapes behind me, right? I would have loved to have gone for a drive. I was Sharon, if you could make it up here to Canada, right? Me and you, we could go to Thunder Bay together, right? And go dig for amethyst Sharon. That would be absolutely amazing. And it would make up for the budget holiday we had when you came up. It was a nice holiday, but wouldn't it be fun if you came with me and we went for a trip to Thunder Bay and did some amethyst digging, right? I really hope I find some good crystals. I hope I have some fun. And it's not just a matter of finding crystals. I'm actually going to go to Lake Superior along the shore, and I'm going to do some rock hounding. I'm going to see if I can find some agate and find some different kinds of precious stone out on the right and tumble them. I have I'm my own tumbler. I have my jug of rocks, and every day I pick them up and I do this little dance with them because I can't have them on the rock tumbler in the apartment because it's so loud, and you're supposed to leave it consistently running for 2 weeks. Yeah, my neighbors wouldn't put up with that. They would be down at the office so fast I'd be out of my apartment. So I improvised. I just left them in the container, and I am the shaker. Now it's only 2 weeks, but I did that like 4 months ago when I first moved in here. I think I did it in February, somewheres along then. And so every morning I get up and I grab my container and I dance, right? And I go shake, 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 shake. Shake your booty. And I shake my own stones. I am polishing my own stones. I haven't opened up the container. I don't know what they look like, but I said that I couldn't open up that container until the end of August. When I open up that container end of August, I'm hoping the rocks will be fairly smooth, right? I'm hoping for the amount of time that I actually shook them, that it might equal the 2 weeks that they were meant to be shaken. That's if the water hasn't evaporated inside the container. But it does still leak because every once in a while I get that from the granite. I get that black muck on my hands, right? But then after I do that, I have to put it back in the container with fresh water and the polish mix, right? And then I have to do the same thing, and that'll probably take me another few months. But if it works out, I'll get a bigger container and I'll do more rocks at the same time, right? And then, of course, if any of you guys want any of the rocks, I could be more than welcome. When they're done, I'll show everybody. And if you want a rock, I'll just drop them in an envelope and send them off to you, right? I think so, too. Aw, that's sweet, Dave. That's sweet. I still have those ornaments, but they're synthetic, right? I mean, I guess I could make some paper ornaments and go out in the forest and put some natural paper Christmas ornaments on the trees. And I get good deals at work, right? And then just take some pictures of the trees and everything in the summertime before I leave, knowing that it'll be there all winter. And if I like mining, maybe I'll try a different type of mining next time. Maybe I'll get my own amethyst mine claim, right? Maybe I'll buy some land up there and turn it into a claim and a residential spot and a resort. Because remember, I've been talking about a resort. Yeah, turn it into a nature resort with great big amphitheater in there, so we can have lectures so that big companies can fly their employees out to relax and recuperate and take mindset lessons and right decompress and calm the systems down, have different courses and stuff. I'm looking forward. I have big ideas. Going to take lots of money, right? But I trust that if I just keep at this, right, that the things I need will come to me and I'll be able to move. But no point in giving me all the money to do that stuff now if I'm not ready, right? So yeah, just keep the lessons going on, try and have a good time in between, right? That's what I'm trying to do, is try and enjoy my life in between, fill in those gaps. I've got to turn this fan on again. Right? I turned it off, but it's just too darn hot outside, you guys. I'm soaking wet. And how long did I have that air conditioner off for? Like not even 10 minutes. And yeah, the whole apartment has just heated right up. It's a hot wave or a heat wave going on here. I don't know what the temperature is for you guys, how you guys are doing in your neighborhoods, but yeah, really hot. And I don't know about what's going on with the rest of the country either. I haven't been paying attention to the news, I think, at all. Have I been paying attention? No. Oh, I heard Wab Canoe was going to run for premier. That took me by surprise, right? That took me by surprise. No. And I have the right to say that, but you know, the thing is, with the situation that we're in, there's going to be a lot of looking at the minority thought leaders out there and making sure that they have a say and that they have positions in the government, right? But yeah, I don't know. I was actually quite involved in how Wabcanoe was doing when it came to politics and everything, because there was a time I was seriously considering of offering my services to help him build his brand and everything, right? To make it so that he'd have a better, stronger message when he made his comments, right? Yeah. But it never materialized. And after a while, after following a while, I could realize that we were on separate paths and we really didn't have that much in common when it came to not goals, but to the good things that we wanted to put out to the world, right? Because we don't have to be exactly the same, but we have to be wanting the best for the world, right? Oh, that's sweet, Sharon. That's really sweet. And I enjoyed that. I hope I get another opportunity. I really hope I get another opportunity to build another fort, right? Or even continue on with the one that we have. But the thing is, relationships have to be mended. Relationships, right? Relationships not only have to be mended, but they have to be truly fixed, right? Because again, being fully aware of people's actions, it's very hurtful when the people that you love let you down. And I know I've let people down too. But when it happens to you, it's very painful, and we tend to put those guards up and those walls up, and we do these things so that we don't get hurt that way, right? Doesn't mean we don't care, but we're just protecting ourselves. But that's very sweet of you to say that, Sharon. But you guys were important to me, because again, that was the beginning of all this awakening stuff, and I didn't know what was going, and you guys were all holding me up when I was going through such a terrible time, right? And I'm not sure if things are any better now physically in my life, but emotionally, I'm a totally different person than that person, right? I what did I see today? Oh, I have to change the channel art part of this trip that I'm taking. I have to change my channel art on my channel. So I was in there tonight taking a look at the channel art I have now. it all needs to be updated. But I want to make sure before I start these videos of this trip that it looks good and stuff. So if you have any suggestions, what would be a good idea in the way of pictures? I'm thinking, I have a couple of really neat coats that had those great big furs around the hood, right? Like the Eskimos and stuff. And it kind of represented what I like to do with the road trips and the exploring and stuff. And it really gave me an exploring kind of feel. And I liked those photos. So I might change my thumbnail to that. But it's something I'll be working on this week. You guys should see some stuff coming up. Now, I know I won't be posting the week of my trip, right? I won't be posting. We'll do our live show on the Sunday night, but I won't be, well, maybe, yeah, we'll still do the live afterwards, but I won't be posting a video of the trip until after I get back because I want to use the services of the Arts Mill at the Millennial Library, right? To be able to edit and do a good job on my videos. And it's going to be hard for me. I'm going to have to relearn that Premiere Pro. And I wasn't very good at it to start with. I could kind of mess around in there and figure out what I wanted to do. But now if I have better sound, that's going to make a huge difference. Now that I know how to cover up bad sound with video, now that I know I could do voice overlay, and I will be doing some of that because I'll do some of those walks on the trails, and I will do it just walking and not talking because I want to enjoy it. Because remember, this is a trip for me too, and I want to be able to be in my mind. I want to be able to be reflective and be with Mother Nature fully 100%. So I'll be walking some of those trails. But when I get home, I might do some voice overlay and add some of my insights or some of what I was thinking while I was on those walks, or right, or maybe I might play tour guide and kind of explain what I was looking at. You don't know, but hopefully I can do a good job, right? It's not my talent. That's not my talent. This is my talent, right? I can yap. And it's through all those experiences I had in my life, right? All those relationships that I had in my life, all those discussions and conversations, right? Because I worked in nightclubs and bars and restaurants. Like a lot of my wage, a lot of the income that I brought in was serving and bartending tips, right? So it depended quite a bit on my personality. And at that time, it wasn't genuine. It was like, well, it was genuine because I made good friends and I got to really know people. And I think I impacted people's lives, even though I didn't know what I was doing or what I was doing at all. But I do believe that I did help people, right? I wasn't aware of what I was doing, but I think just being a part of their lives made some people in my life, their lives a little bit better. I believe that 100%. And even if I did a bad job of it, right, and I missed the mark in some of those relationships or some of the lessons that were meant in those relationships, I believe I'm going to get another chance with them, right? Because there was a reason we traveled together in this lifetime. There was a reason why we came into each other's lives, right? And why we spent some time getting to know each other. And I know that feeling. I know that feeling when I know you, right? Like I know you guys. Yeah, 100%. We've traveled together before. I truly believe that. Yeah. So let me go back here on some of these. Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you make it to the live show today, Nancy. Nancy gets a lot of, I know, because we live in um uh here in where I live. We live in Central Daylight Time in Manitoba, but there's Pacific time, there's Eastern time, there's one other one, isn't there? And I was actually, when I was doing my research on Thunder Bay, because I do want to go into the city of Thunder Bay and do a little tour, show everybody the little city that I'm visiting, that I decided of all the little places that I could have gone to with my paycheck to make a holiday. right? That I chose Thunder Bay, partly because of the beautiful drive that it was, because I so enjoyed it when I went to Toronto. I enjoyed the drive, partly because I've never been amethyst mining before, and I have a great interest in crystals, and it would be fun to have a mine, I think. But I want to try it out. I want to see if it's something that I would enjoy if I'm pulled to it, or because I am pulled to it, is there something else that's going to come across my path during the trip that's going to set me in a new direction, right? Set me on a new path, because I'm a feeler when it comes out to my story. I have no idea how it's going to play out. I've done everything under the sun, right? And I'm still here. Prairie Dodgers is still here. We're still exploring the inside and the outside, right? And now we're getting back on the road. It's going to be so exciting, right? It's going to be so. I hope so. I know it's going to be exciting for me for the experience, but I also know it's fun for other people to live vicariously through other people when we want to do things, right? And we can't physically do things because we don't have the time. We physically can't do it because we have disabilities. Sometimes we financially just can't afford it. Sometimes we just can't take that time off of work. We just can't. That spare time we have is spent caring for others, right? A lot of people on my brand here, like Owen, are caregivers, right? A lot of their spare time that they have, they spend it with the people that they care for, and so they don't have a lot of time to go out there and do this exploring on their own. But I'm happy to do it for them. I'm happy to do it for them, you guys, anytime. It's my favorite thing in the whole world is being on the road. Just meeting people, doing anything, going restaurants, going shopping, meeting people, going to the markets, going to workshops and seminars, going to the exhibition. Oh, my dad used to take us to the exhibition. I love the P&E, the Pacific National Exhibition, right? And he'd give us all $20, and that $20 was supposed to last us the whole day. And we get some ride tickets, and we get some food, and we get some game money to play some games to see if we can win teddy bears, right? And we'd always blow it really fast. But we would take off when us girls would hang out together. Sometimes we would separate it, but most of the time we hung out together. And we were always supposed to meet at this one dome because my dad had this favorite hypnotist that he went to see every single year at the exhibition, right? And I don't remember his name, but he'd always try and make me get up on a stage and get hypnotized. And he succeeded quite a few times. Him himself, right? He loved that kind of stuff, my dad. But we'd always end up spending our money before to meet him underneath the dome. So we'd always have to go find him. And he was usually in this one building, Coliseum, that they did up as the flower gardens. They did as an English flower garden. And they would just have flowers absolutely everywhere. So he'd be wandering around in there. That's how much he loved Mother Nature. My dad just loved nature. Yeah. I wish I spent more time with my dad in conversation. And again, going back to the beginning of my life, right? Today when we're talking about losing the opportunity to have proper closures in our relationships, to have forgiveness divvied out, to understand the people that we have struggles with and disagreements with, and arguments with, or refuse to communicate with. It makes me wonder, like, to take a look at them. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Are we losing out by not communicating, by not making closure in that relationships without saying proper goodbyes, right? And so, yeah, I'm thinking about all of this kind of stuff. But again, like I said, events and situations and people come across our path all the time. It's part of the change. It's part of the adapt and conquer. That's some of the surprise, the things that happen in our lives that we don't expect, right? Those are the wrenches. Those are the obstacles. And we all have to go through it over the course of the years, losing the people that I care for, losing the people I cared for the most, right? It's made it so that people can move out of my life and out of my thoughts fairly easy. It has, right? And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because I was able to let my dad's memory go fairly fast. I was able to recover fairly fast from my dad's passing, extremely fast. When my mother passed away, oh my goodness. And it's, and this is where the guilt and the shame sits because for me, there was a little bit of celebration in that, right? Right? There was a little bit of, not celebration, but a little bit of relief that I can be myself, that I didn't have to impress anybody. And I have no idea why I felt that I had to impress my mother. I only saw her once every couple of months if I had to, right? Like, but she had such a hold on me, right? And such control over the family and over my sisters. And then when my mother passed away, well, my sister picked up that baton, and my sister had more energy in the beginning than my mother did. And yeah, she came at it full force, and something in me just said, no, I'm not going to let this happen. This is not the life for me. I'm not going to be yelled at. I'm not going to be demeaned. I'm not going to be made to feel that there's something not right with me, right? This is very unkind and uncalled for, and I won't have anything to do with it. And I was gone. Poof, gone. You can't treat me with respect. You can't treat me with kindness. I was gone. I wasn't gonna have any of that. But then these situations happen, and you think, was that argument big enough, right? Am I not holding up to my guns of my decisions by breaking down because there's a vulnerable moment that there's, right? But somebody needs me, right? I feel that. I feel that that's part of my journey here was to help wake up my family, to help get my family through this, right? But like I said, my sister got herself in a situation and she just got herself deeper, 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 deeper. And I couldn't help her because she was just wrapping her legs around my neck and taking me down with her, right? She was actually keeping her head above water by keeping my head underneath the water. But you have to have closure, right? Especially when that love was there, right? Because that love, it changes, but that love can never be destroyed because you already opened up your heart to that, right? It's already had its opportunity to imprint because it wouldn't be painful. If it didn't imprint, it wouldn't be painful, right? It's kind of like getting over when somebody passes, and if bad things happen, I will deal with these things too, probably in the same way, right? But this is family, right? This is blood. These are where my insecurities are, my self doubts, right? And I know how I felt when my father passed away, and I could have had a conversation with him. I could have had some closure, but instead I told him I was busy and my mother was sleeping when he called the night before he passed away. I was the last one to talk to him, right? And he had interrupted whatever I was doing. I don't know what I was doing, watching a movie or something, right? We were supposed to pick him up from the hospital the next day and bring him home. Cindy, I don't think I'm going to make it. It's right. This is tough. And he passed away, got a call early in the morning, and none of us got an opportunity to say a proper goodbye to him, right? Yeah. And that's what happened when you live with these deliberating, right? Deliberating illnesses, these issues that cause us to get close to not being here, right? Which like easily could have happened to Andrew these past couple of months with his staph infection, right? It could have been a totally different story. Now there's an opportunity for a different story altogether, right? And what lessons came out of that, right? Aw, Dave, that's nice of you to say that you kind of are Sunday night hanging out together, right? Listening to us yap or listening to me yap and popping into the comments, I would assume, like you're doing, right? Obviously, that you're keeping in touch what's going on. Yep. Dave usually cracks one. Has he cracked one yet today? Am I planning to go back to Toronto soon? I would love to. I love Toronto. I love the busyness of the city. I love the potential of being close to some of those thought leaders that I admire. That I would, I would love to just like go there and just work in the field that I'm in right now, right? But I would still have to have my adventures. That's the thing. And sometimes it takes an hour. Like I know it took me over an hour to drive out of Toronto to get out of the city, right? That's how big Toronto is. It's the third largest city in North America, Toronto. It's a huge, huge city. But you know what? You can find Mother Nature absolutely everywhere. I bet you they have lots of beautiful walking trails. They have beautiful lakes. They have beautiful mountains. Oh, the drive was amazing, right? It's the hubbub of busyness there and what's going on. Some of my favorite thought leaders are from Toronto, surprisingly. It's kind of neat how they're all condensed in that one spot, right? I find that very, very interesting just in itself. It makes me curious that Nancy Drew mystery kind of brain goes on like, why is this happening, right? Yeah, it gives me those ideas. But yeah, I would love to go to Toronto again. Uh Dave, for sure I would. Right, 100%, Andrew. Yes, I'm curious to see where your story leads. And you're telling a beautiful story too, right? I know it's hard. Does that our Robert just come in tonight? Oh, Robert's here. Holy moly. We haven't seen Robert. Do you go to Toronto once in a while, Robert? Do you go to Toronto once in a while? It's nice to have you here tonight, Robert. It's nice to have you here tonight. Yeah, I found Toronto to be very, very busy, right? Very busy, but I love Toronto. I love wherever I am. I love new things, right? If you said, or would you love to go back to Edmonton? I would love to go back to Edmonton at some point, go and visit Banff, drive the Yellowhead Highway again. I love the Yellowhead Highway. It was a beautiful, beautiful drive, the Yellowhead Highway. I love how clean the city was. I thought Edmonton was a very clean city. Their transit service was very clean, very meticulous in how they presented themselves, right? I understand now there's graffiti and a mess all over the place everywhere, but yeah, I was actually giving thought too to maybe small town living, right? If an opportunity came across my path, because what I'm doing right now, all I need is internet service, and in actuality, once I'm out of the city, I can get on Elon Musk's satellite internet service. And once I'm on that, I'll never leave because I'll be base Earth and he'll be up in space on the moon or on Mars or on Saturn, or he's flying through different universes and the Milky Ways and stuff, and still be able to communicate with this, right? Maybe we'll be in a new ice age, and right, and we'll have to be living in caves and under the ground, right? But maybe we'll have good solar, right? Maybe we'll have different solutions for power. Maybe we'll be better capable of surviving, right? Remember that movie Day After Tomorrow? What was his name? Oh, Quentin. I can't remember. Andrew, can you help me with that one? The movie Day After Tomorrow. Um, yeah, he was a great actor. I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name now, but at the end of the world, right? And He was going through the ice age to try and save his son who got trapped in New York, right? But they had clothes, right? They had clothes that could sustain them in that kind of weather. And they've invented these kinds of things now. So I think we could we could survive another ice age. I truly think we could survive another ice age. We would have to stockpile and we would have to find a way to solely produce enough heat to support. Well, I would be looking for hot springs because that's where the animals will gather at the hot springs, where it's a little bit warmer, where the temperature is there. So that's where the food source will be, right? But how long would the food source last for, right? But these are things I think about. These are things that lots of people think about, right? Lots of people think about. Dennis Quaid, 100%. Oh, you did a search. Dennis Quaid. I love Dennis Quaid, right? He did a movie too. It was really good, all about the Borealis and how he was going back in time and to the future, and he was back and forth, and he was trying to save his dad who died in a fire, and he ended up having a different life, a better life, because in the end he was able to change his dad's mind and save his dad's life. So obviously destinies were changed, eh? Yeah, I believe in cause and effect. I believe all our actions have the potential of changing the future, right? At any moment. And that's why I say if I can't change something, then I have to let it go, right? I don't cry over spilt milk if I don't have any control over it. If somebody dies in my life, right? If somebody's gone, you don't get those moments back again. You can't make it up, right? It's done. So why beat yourself up? Why grieve? Why put your life on hold? Right? So you heal from it. You mourn with it. You celebrate that life, but you get it over and done with as fast as you can, and you get back to it. And I did that with my father. I did that with my mother. I've done that with friends who have passed away, right? With acquaintances that maybe I knew, but because their life was reflective of the kind of life that I had, and that could have easily have been me, and that had given me insights that way, right? So death does touch us, but we do have choices. We do have opportunities in any moment to at least tie things up properly, to say proper goodbyes to people, right? To say goodbyes. Woodstock, Ontario. See, I moved to a place called Woodstock 100%. And small time, small businesses too. I had this idea because I have all this earthenware behind me. I was thinking of opening up a little coffee shop, calling it Earth and Ware, right? And it would just be a little coffee shop where you could have dainties and a cup of coffee and visit with your friends. But I would have items like this displayed all over the store that people could purchase. So it would be a retail slash coffee shop. And I thought it was an amazing idea. I've thought of this idea a few times in my life. When I was married to my husband, I had the same kind of idea, but I was doing it with the antiques that I was finding, with the teacups and the pottery and the glass and porcelains and stuff. But now, right, because of the road that I'm on now, I'm thinking, right, my stoneware, my earthenware, my crystals, right? Maybe I could have a little area with a couch and a coffee table where we could actually talk mindset and mindfulness. Maybe I could have a little library wall where the whole wall would be covered in really good books, but all books on mindset and mindfulness and self-improvement, right? Goal setting. I would love to have a little shop like that. Classmates from grade 7 that went to Woodstock. I knew a lady, my friend's, her name was Christina, And her mother went to Woodstock, and I admired a bejeweled jar that she got from a vendor who was crafting them because his car broke down on the side of the road or something on the way to Woodstock, and he was stuck there with everybody else. So he put a little table out there and he was doing crafts and stuff, and she had bought this little jar. Now, I have no idea. I think I gave the jar away. I gave the jar away to somebody, right? Just this year too, when I was giving away all the things that I had personal attachment for. I haven't kept many things. I kept a piece of pottery that I created in 1977. I know it's 1977 because I scratched it into the clay of this piece that I had made. And I kept my dad's plaque, right? Life is what happens to us while we're making other plans. And I believe in this, right? Because I believe in evolution. I believe that we're only meant to just keep living our lives to our best of our abilities, to try to make the best human beings as we can, but at the same time, help other people, right? Help other people in whether they're feeling better about themselves, whether it's just in the moment, or whether or not it's something long lasting, right? And that's why I put out all those explore videos, and the way I made all those explore videos for people so that they could have that experience for themselves too. And I'm kind of hoping that, right, that this trip that I'm taking to go amethyst mining, that you guys will follow me along in it in the same kind of way, right? The same kind of manner. And I'm kind of, right? But I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm leaving myself open for changes and possibilities and dazzle and amaze. And if I just keep working towards that goal, that in 3 weeks that we will be taking this trip. I actually had a gentleman who's a regular customer at my work, and I was telling him about the trip, and I mentioned to him, if you know anybody that wants to rent me a vehicle for a week, I'll give them $500 cash for lending me the vehicle. And he says, one of my vehicles is in the shop. If I get my car back, right, by then you can just borrow the car I'm driving now. It's a beast. It'll drive great. It'll be great. Thunder Bay is only 8 hours away. It'll do that trip really, really well. So yeah, is a possibility there. But I want to get this money out of my hand. I get paid next Friday, my day off. Next Monday, I want to go put the deposit down for the vehicle. Make sure at the very least the vehicle is taken care of. Because when the vehicle is taken care of, I've got some things that my sister is holding some money, a little bit of money for me that will help for gas. Another sister of mine owes me $100 that I'm going to be able to put towards gas. I'm already picking up little food items because one of my habits, one of the things I do for calming my system when I'm stressed, and like this is what Muka was talking about, like when he gets home from work and he's had a really bad day at work and he's trying to de-stress and stuff. So he comes in and hangs out with us on Sunday night. And I'm grateful that you hang out with us, Dave. But I de-stress in a few ways. Number one, I eat treats. I treat myself, whether it's a piece of pastry or like I did today, have ice cream, right? Have these things that I absolutely love. I also go for walks. That helps to alleviate some of that stress that I carry and some of that worry that I carry. I go out and I get some fresh air, hang out with Mother Nature. This is how I got on the road and started doing my YouTube videos and stuff, was doing it that way, right? Because that was for my own emotional well-being. But I did, for my camping trip, get some things. I'm starting to put some stuff away for the trip, right? So I got some wet ones, right? And these will come in handy because I will be digging in the dirt. So I'll have to stay clean so I know this is out of the way, right? Brand new. It can go into a bin. I got a great big plastic bin that I'm going to fill up with everything that I need, right? And it will just get slidden into the side of the car. And yeah, I got me some Cheese Whiz. I have not had Cheese Whiz. Oh my goodness. It's got to have been a couple of years. But what great road trip food, right? A knife and a box of crackers and the cheese whiz. This is great, when I'm driving and it's time to stop and take in the view and the views, right? The landscapes out there. And if I'm hungry, right, we got cheese whiz taken care of, right? So that's all ready for the trip. And these are things, and like I was saying, one of the habits when I was talking about some of the things that I do to calm my system when I'm stressed or when I've had bad days and stuff is I shop, right? Even when I'm poor, I'll find a few cents and I'll go to the store and I'll shop for meaningless, useless things like that pink donut with the sprinkles, right? That I don't need. But I thought with this camping trip, and because I have a 30-day challenge of adding some positivity into my life, I thought a good positive way for me to contribute to my movement forward would be to use some of those bad habits that I do of overspending and spending my money on frivolous things that I don't need or things that are not good for me, to spend that money on things for my camping trip, for me hitting the road, right? It might not seem like a big thing, but I could easily spend every penny of my paycheck and not have anything to show for it. This way, I know every time I walk into the store, I have to pick up one item for my trip. So I got some coffee mate for my coffee too. So I got this little container, just perfect size, so that if I stop on the side of the road and make a cup of coffee, I got a big thermos for the road trip so that I could stop off at Tim Hortons and fill up my thermos with some nice restaurant coffee. Because once I hit the Highway 17, Trans-Canada Highway, I'm so excited. I love that highway. Oh, I love driving. It breaks my heart not to have a vehicle, right? That's what's so painful. It's just when I see my sister, I just think that, oh my gosh, like she took my car away from me. And I have to try to overcome these thoughts, right? Because there's no room for any kind of resentment, right? Like I have to just understand that that was her choice. I'm not responsible for other people's choices. I can only be responsible for the choices that I make. So part of my 30-day positivity challenge, because I will feel positive, maybe not right in the moment because I'm parting with that money, but I'm going to feel positive that I was doing good by my money, right? I was purchasing things that I needed for my trip. So that's what I've been doing. So hopefully every time that I go to the store, I am responsible for buying one item, because it's not a punishment. It's not a punishment. It's just a way for me to show myself that there are things more important, right? That in the moment I'm going to enjoy that pink donut with the sprinkles in the moment, but I'm not going to enjoy the moment when I wake up in the morning and I'm a pound heavier because of the sugar that I took in the night before. I'm not going to be happy that I chose that donut instead of the baby wipes to keep my hands clean when I'm digging out amethyst. But if I'm doing these things and if I'm keeping ahead of the game for my trip, then when I'm ready to go, I'm not going to have to dig out that big bunch of money. I'm not going to have to worry about what am I going to eat, right? Right? All I need is a box of crackers and I can eat cheese whiz for the whole week if I have to, right? I've got baby wipes. I've got cheese whiz. I got the coffee. I've got coffee, right? I got a thermos. I bought a thermos. I bought a forehead light so I can, when it gets dark outside, that I can continue to look for amethyst. And sometimes digging for amethyst at nighttime is better because it reflects off the light off of if you're wearing it on your head, the crystal reflects off your head. So that will be fun, right? And maybe we'll come across some animals. We're going to sit along the river and look at the river. I'm going to do the trails. It's going to be fun, people. It's going to be a little adventure for all of us. And if there's some way that I can leave a little trail, right? Like I did on that little Christmas tree that Sharon appreciated and Dave appreciated so much when I took their names and I made those little Christmas ornaments and I put them on that tree, right? And then I had to go search for them all, right? I got half of them off the tree before the snow came, but the rest of them I had to go back in the spring and collect them all because they were not good for the environment. They were made of foam, right? So I didn't want to leave them in that beautiful little forest. So I had to go find them all. And I hope I found them all. But I kept them, you guys. And you know what? I will pull them out. And if you see your name and you want me to send you the ornament, I will again drop them in the envelope when I drop you in one of my polished rocks that I'm working on right now. I'll show you guys maybe next weekend we'll open up that container and I'll show you guys, right? And let's hope that the little dancing routine that I did every morning with that jug of rocks, that it works out really well for us, right? That we have some nice smooth stones, right? And then we can start polishing them. It'll be lots of fun. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing to be able to retire on the lake? And especially you're in Ontario, how beautiful it is, especially the northern part. Oh my goodness. I know, but you worked hard for that, Dave. You worked hard to have that life and your beautiful family comes up to visit you every once in a while. And yeah, that's a beautiful place to retire. And you don't have to worry about the stress and the worries and having those bad days at work. You don't have to worry about having those bad days at work, right, Dave? That you can actually lay in your lawn chair on the deck, maybe if you have a deck, staring off at the beautiful sunsets on the lake. I'm sure there's some beautiful sunsets, are there not? Oh, okay. But you said you were an engineer. Didn't you say you were an engineer, Dave? You're an engineer at McMaster University. Is that what you're saying? Or you used to be an engineer? I was pretty sure that you told me you were an engineer. That's the thing. That's not how I'm getting this though. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, because well, one of the gentlemen I was in love with, his name was Brian, right? His family came up from a town called the Paw up in northern Manitoba. And their father was an engineer also, but he was an engineer. He was working on a bridge up there and he lived up there. But there was a lot of fossil fuel up there in that area. And it was really strange because both his parents died from the same cancer. Like they both got brain cancer, like decades apart from each other. But it was strange how they both got brain cancer, and I was wondering if it could have been attributed to the fossil fuels, right? From the because it used to be a sea up there, right? It used to be a sea up there, and it was covered in fossils and shells and stuff. And I think it was the decomposing of the shells that were toxic. I was wondering if it was possible that that's what it was caused by, right? Why they were having the same cancer. It just seemed odd, right? That a husband and wife would have passed away from the same cancer. It made me think that they were in the same atmosphere, something that was not good for them, that somehow they've been impacted by their environment, and that's how come they got the same cancer. But it was decades apart from each other. But yeah, he was an engineer, but he was an engineer for a bridge. I remember finding an engineer ring one time when I was a gold one too, a great big gold ring, and it was an engineer ring. It had some kind of insignia on it. I don't remember what it was, but it was an insignia that signified that it was an engineer's ring. Yeah, so and it was solid gold, and I don't know whatever happened to that ring. I might have sold it. I might have returned it. I might have turned it into a lost and found or something. That was a long, long time ago. At that time, I was managing a restaurant, and all night it was a Perkins restaurant, American company, Perkins restaurant. I was managing at the time, and yeah, I love that job too. There were, in most aspects of my job, I really truly loved them. The only time that I didn't really love any of my jobs was when they would, kind of get whipped, that, I kind of figured them out or something, or I understood that what they were doing was not right, and then I would feel like I was being ousted. And it probably was the case, right? Because they realized that they couldn't work me, then their only alternative was to try and get rid of me. And I didn't realize, I didn't see that, but it makes sense the way I held on to some of those jobs that I had. They were just tired. They were just done with the relationships. They weren't getting the light from me that they were originally getting from me, right? Oh, thank you. Thank you there. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that down, Dave, right now. Thank you for sending that to me. And you guys too, like send me your emails if you want. You can hide it in the chat, and then I can just write it down. And once I have it, like, at Christmas time when I want to send out special messages, and there are times when I'm really inspired and I really want to, like, something crosses my mind and I think of you, right? And then we have these chit chats, and I do this every once in a while with some of my monitors here, right? Some of the people that hang out with me. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for sending that to me. I appreciate it. I got it. I wrote it down here on my schedule, and my schedules all go in my important drawer. And I will add that to my Gmail address. But any one of you is more than welcome to get a hold of me through any of my platforms, whether it's here, whether you catch me on Instagram, you can DM me, you can contact me through my Facebook page. I'm Prairie Dodgers straight across all my platforms, right? And there's lots of ways where we can connect. And if you actually even want to do a live with me, I had the most amazing live today on Instagram. Oh, it was so good. I got out of it. The gentleman that I was hanging out with and having a conversation with, he got a lot out of it. It was absolutely incredible. And that live show went for almost 2 hours today. We yapped online. That's why I'm saying that my voice is all raw right now, that it's all hoarse, because I did a lot of yapping today. I did a lot of yapping. Yeah. I just have to remember that I have to have fluids, that I have to take breaks. It's not enough just to have the fluids sitting here on my desk. I have to make sure. I see how dark it's getting in here now. I have to make sure that I'm drinking the fluids. Like, I'm actually stopping the yapping, having a sip, and then I can carry on, right? Then I can carry on. Look how dark it is, you guys. Oh, and it's time. So that's my signal, you guys. And you see how dark it's getting outside. The clouds are starting. No, it's still fairly clear out there, and that's a good time. But like I said, let's turn this off just to say our goodbyes to each other. It has been hot here. We're in the midst of a heat wave, and it has been a bit of a, there we go. It has been a bit of a struggle for a lot of the homeless out there. A lot of people trying to stay cool. A lot of people don't have the funds to get out on the road, get to the lake and stuff. I haven't even been to the lake once. And now I'm in crunch time because I'm getting ready for this trip. I won't be doing anything that will be too much fun, because I'll be trying to do the catch up and what's going on here, making sure that this trip is well planned out to the best of my ability, understanding that there's going to be hiccups, things will fall apart, things will seem like they're not going to come together, but in the end, I know it's going to be amazing. I know we're going to have an amazing time, and I really hope that you guys are proud of what I put out there, right? And I'm sharing this because I'm confident that it's going to happen. I'm confident. It's only 3 weeks away, people. It's only 3 weeks away, and I have a week off. We're going mining for amethyst. Okay, everybody, that's it for tonight. We'll see each other next Sunday. And yeah, I'll fill you in on what's going on. Maybe show you guys some of my camping gear. Maybe my new microphone will be in and we can test that out. It's a lavalier that I picked up. Mind you, I have this great microphone right here that works absolutely amazing. I can't take it with me because it doesn't work with my phone, right? But, it'll be great for when I get a laptop. My laptop was trashed. He tried to fix it for me, but it was so old it didn't work out. So I don't have a laptop yet, but when I do get a laptop, this is going to be great for dragging around with me because I'll actually be able to do interviews. I have this idea of, taking my folding table that I'm using right now for my whiteboard for taking in my lessons and just popping it open and just saying, hey, put a sign there. Let's have a conversation. And then just talk to people about what they've been doing over the past couple of years while the coronavirus is going on, and then how it's impacted their life and how it's going to impact their life moving forward, and how they think that maybe they can get out of this, or how this might be a struggle. I'm always thinking of stuff, but ideas are a dime a dozen. It's the action, right? So Cindy's got to get back to work. We are going to do up a few more dishes, and I'm going to make my hibachi just like Dave is, finishing up his cabbage rolls and stuff. I'm going to make my lazy one because that's what I am. I'm lazy. No, it's just easy for me. I don't have the patience to roll up cabbage rolls all pretty and stuff. It all tastes the same in the pot when I'm concerned, right? It's still yummy. Okay, everybody, we'll see each other next Sunday. Have a great week. And like I said, if you want to message me, you're more than welcome to. Happy to chit chat. Bye-bye.